Hello, everybody, and welcome to another of DCT Recruitments, the icing on the career cake. Diane, tell us who our guest is today.
So today we have the General Manager, Andrew Price from Knowsley Suites Hotel, which is a well-known hotel in Liverpool, and he's come to share their story.
That's brilliant. Andrew, we are going to welcome you to our humble abode. Thank you so much for coming along and joining us today, Andrew.
Hi there. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem at all. Now, Andrew, this might sound a little bit weird, but it is what we ask all of our guests right at the beginning of every show. So we need to know, what flavour icing are you?
Chocolate. Has to be chocolate, I'm afraid. I'm an absolute chocoholic.
You know, that's two chocoholics we've had in a row.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. We need to put you together with our previous guest. And mind you, there may not be any chocolate. You might be fighting over the chocolate. That's the other thing.
Probably will be.
Right.
Well, Easter's coming, so that your favourite festivity then?
Well, my kids' favourite festivity, yes. I mean, there's very few bits of chocolate ever spare when the kids get hold of it. So I'm fighting for scraps.
Oh. Well, you know what you need to do? You need to have a big chocolate fountain in the hotel, don't you, at some point? And then there you go.
That's something I hadn't thought of. I might go away after this and make sure one's there.
There you go. You see? Chocolate on tap. There we go. Yeah. So, Andrew, tell us a little bit about the history of this hotel.
The hotel's been here for decades. It's very well established in the area. It's had names like the Cherry Tree, the Bell Tower, because of the famous bell tower that it was recognisable for. Then it was just known as the Suites, with every bedroom in the property being a suite, a unique selling point that not many, if any, hotels in the city have got. But it's, as I say, it's been here for decades. Once not so long ago, a lady came into the hotel just simply to show me a picture of her dad in, I think it was the 50s, outside the front of the hotel in his Sunday best, telling me how that every Sunday they would come over as a family and they would eat in the restaurant area of the hotel, and it was a lot of local families would do the same thing. So I think around about the 90s, a gentleman called Peter Tyra and his family bought the property, and then turned it, revamped it, refurbished it, up until about 2016, I believe they decided to make an addition to the hotel in terms of building a spa. Now the spa was very well known in throughout the city. To be fair, it was a bit of a trailblazer. I believe that Peter's daughter Lindsay was the driving force behind it. She designed it. Nothing but the best would go in it, and it won awards. And it was known to have quite a few celebrity patrons. It was a favourite of Colleen Rooney, I believe. I also believe that it was built as an homage to Peter's wife and Lindsay's mum, who sadly no longer with us. Sort of built an homage to them that nothing but the best will do, and that's exactly what they built. The relax room is something to behold. If I could probably sell those beds for people to just come and sleep for half an hour or an hour in between their working day, or just for a lunch break, I'm pretty sure I could do, although I don't think many people will be going back to work.
What keeps a business like yours moving forward in 2026?
Well, business like ours, hospitality, is facing many, many, many challenges along the way, and has been for quite a while. But what keeps it moving forward, this is my own personal view, is the people in the building. You know, if You can have the best product in the world, and nobody who cares about it just turns up and expects it to just run the way it's supposed to run. And you don't get any levels of service, you don't get any level of customer interaction. And I think with the way that everybody is struggling in terms of with rising costs and employment costs and margins, etc., you've got to have a team in place who are empathetic, who understand what hospitality is, and know how to deliver it, because your guests will come back for that. You know, obviously, if you've got a product that so hotel rooms, businesses are going back out into the world again, and they're putting their corporate clients into a hotel now. With the rise of a lot of budget hotels, etc., they may go into this budget hotel and the room may be brand new, but there's no sort of life to it. If you get what I mean, because you've got one person on a desk who's pressing a button, that's you done. There may not be a food element, or there may be a vending machine in the corner, or something like that. Convenience is great for your big corporate clients potentially, but if you want a hotel, in my opinion, or any business, in my opinion, to grow in 2026, it's all about the people. You've got to have, when somebody comes in at the desk, they may have been supposed to check in from 3:00. They could have been stuck in traffic for 4 or 5 hours. It could be coming to 9, 10 o'clock. Your kitchen may be closed, but they then tell the receptionist or the manager on duty the ordeal that they've had. And the first thing that they say after they get them checked in is, "Can I get you something to eat from the kitchen? It may only be a sandwich or something like that, but I can get you something if you need it." That little small action creates not just a customer, but creates a loyalty, creates something that all of a sudden that smallest of action becomes a lifetime memory, and they will tell somebody else about that, and they will tell somebody else about that, and all of a sudden you've made an impact. So hospitality can be making impacts, whether it's giving the best massage in the world, whether it's painting somebody's nails before a big day, whether it's making sure that there's a little note in the room when somebody's fixed something in the room for a guest, whether it's having a conversation at dinner, asking people how their day was. That's how the business grows. We can come up with as many different ideas and different packages and try to pull together all the things that maybe an ever-changing client base would like, but at the heart of everything has got to be your people. It's got to be the empathy for hospitality, and the fact that everybody that comes in through those doors, we treat them as family. You treat them as a member of your family and how they would want to be treated if they went somewhere else. Everybody loves to complain. Everybody wants to tell you when you're not doing well. But my thing with all the team here is give everything you've got as if that was your mum, your dad, your brother, a member of your family. And if you can go home with a big smile on your face saying you've impacted one person each shift, then you know for a fact that these people will come back. And if you can get them to come back, then you can grow the business and move it forward.
I love that. Diane, when I was listening to that, I was thinking of the parallels between that and your business, actually.
Yeah.
Because we live in a time now where, like, there's a whole group of people that will talk about automation and AI and doing everything like as streamlined as possible, and you see it in recruitment as well, where it's, you know, oh, let's check this with AI, let's automate all of this process or whatever. But you know, the fear is or the problem is there. Then you take people out of the equation in something like recruitment. You know, yeah, you may save a few pounds, but actually, are you actually doing a decent job for people? Are you really getting to know people in the messy areas where people are needed to understand. And it's the same with hotels, isn't it? You know, I've been to places where literally there's nobody there. You know, you check in with a code, you go in, as you say, the food's out of a machine. If you want food, you can literally press another code and it will take you up to your bedroom. There's your bedroom. You know, there's no soul in a place like that, right? It may do something for you in terms of giving you a bed for the night, right? But you could have probably taken your bed on your back and, like, you know, if it was a warm enough night, slept out on the street and had the same kind of experience. It's a weird world we're living in now, isn't it, Diane?
I was thinking exactly the same. I was thinking we've had so many people on here about AI, and we're always talking about the personal touch, what makes it go a long way, you know, and listening to you, like, brings me back to my days when we were teaching in McDonald's about customer journey, customer experience, customer satisfaction. Everybody will remember, like, the bad, and they'll tell people. You don't tell people as much about the good, so you've got to do the good even more for it to be exceptional, for people to actually share that memory. So exactly what you said is right, Andrew, and I think, you know, there's no better human touch in society. You know, yeah, technology has a place, and yeah, it's needed, but I still think, you know, heart and mind, you know, in any business, if you can capture someone's heart and capture their feelings, then that's exactly what you will do to grow your business. You know, there's a saying where people forget what they said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never ever forget the way you made them feel, because our emotions drive us in life. And, you know, we do it exactly a lot of that, like, personal touch. You know, I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, checking on my candidates on the way to work. If they have to text me back, they're getting a wake-up phone call. The personal touch. But the reason I do that is because then when I speak to the clients at 7, half 7, whatever time in the day it may be, we always contact them an hour before, just to say, you know, you're okay, you're on your way, is there anything you need from us? And to give them a little bit of a good look, you know, the sides of it. But also we then know that they're there and they're on the way, so we can prepare the client to say, you know, hi, Andrew, Graham's on his way, you know, we'll be with you for 7 or 11 o'clock or whatever. And that just puts the people's minds at ease, because there can be a reputation around recruitment agencies that, you know, people don't turn up, they don't this, they don't that. But we wouldn't have that connection with that candidate if we didn't speak to them on the phone all the time, and we got to know them and understand them. The same as you need to understand your clientele and what they want and what they're coming for. You know, if somebody returns and you're like, oh, hi, Mr. Jones, you know, great to see you again, whatever. Like, people really enjoy that. You know, everybody wants to be made to feel special, don't they? You know, no matter what.
And it is all about that. Those little touches, you can't buy them.
No.
You can't buy them. And, you know, one of the difficulties that you see, or that I see potentially on a day-to-day basis, is some of the younger generation, because they are so heavily tech driven, you know, they'll doom scroll on TikTok and all of the other things that I can't even keep up with these days. It's that sort of the interaction, face-to-face interaction that they don't necessarily have. So when you're recruiting for hospitality roles, you've certainly got to have that. There's something in hospitality people that you can't actually ever really put a finger on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody who has got that X factor, you know that they could probably go and do any job that they actually wanted to and put their mind to. But you know that that hospitality calling is there. And if it's harnessed right and trained right and given the opportunity to blossom, you've got somebody that not only is going to make your business better, but it is going to make an impact on people every single day. Yeah. And that's money can't buy stuff. It really is. Money can't buy stuff. But yeah, you talk about the advent of AI and how all of these things are coming into play. And behind the scenes in terms of making reservations work and how something can talk to another and a message can be sent when a booking's been done. That's brilliant. That really can cut out such a lot of time and effort. And what it does do, if it's in play properly, is allows these hospitality heroes to then be on the front desk or be in the restaurant or be able to help the guests on a face-to-face personal level, because they're not bogged down with a million pieces of paperwork that they have to do just to make sure that the shift is right. So AI has absolutely helped, but that little glow of a hospitality hero when you come across one, that sends. I still get the hair stand up on the back of my neck when I meet somebody like that, because you know that there aren't that many of them about. And they're the ones that make the difference, and that's why this hotel is still here. Because throughout the years, there have been so many people who have impacted people, and people have come back, and people know about the hotel, and there have been issues with the hotel. Granted, they were booked before my time, and I'll be honest, there are lots of details that I don't know about what happened and what went on, because I lived in Yorkshire for 15 years and only moved back about 9 months ago. But the hotel has come through a difficult period. And yes, there were protests at the hotel because there was an asylum seeker contract. And I don't know the ins and outs as to why there were protests. Now, every time that there is anything to do with protests on the news or anything like that, then there's the images of this hotel come up again, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you try to move forward and try to move past that, unfortunately, there are some things within the history that keep pulling you down a little bit, or, people have got long memories.
Yeah, they have, but that's because they will remember the negative. And, so it's going to be really, really hard. I know from taking some restaurants that I had at McDonald's in quite rough areas, it was tough. And you have to do a lot to get the community on board. So my only advice in that would be, what are you doing to outreach to the local community? Are you having? So you spoke about there was a guy who come on a Sunday for a family meal. So could you promote the restaurant then, taking away from having any computers and stuff? So like for instance, in McDonald's we used to do something called We Creative a Weekend. So we'd have a section set up where you could go and make different things and stuff like that. You could maybe create it where it's fun, family fun on a Sunday, have Sunday dinner, have activities. Easter's coming, so let's come and make an Easter bonnet.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same, and I was thinking about it because of the previous guests that we've had on recently here, Diane, from the UK Unplugged thing. It was really encouraging to speak to these young people who are taking part in this UK Unplugged scheme, this project, who were saying, because you were talking about it a minute ago, Andrew, was saying that here was an opportunity to put down their phone and get involved in something that was giving them some purpose without that need for the telephone there. And they just found it so invigorating, right? They found that, they were being drawn into conversation again. They were enjoying that camaraderie with other human beings. Maybe the answer for this hotel and other hotels that are of a similar suit is to challenge a little bit more, to challenge that idea in society that actually everything needs to be around tech, and to really focus on the human side and say, look, these have always been great meeting places for humans. These are spaces where humans come together, and to really kind of push that agenda. Maybe that's the answer. As
a hotel, we've recently just partnered with KBFC. So we're sponsoring a couple of their younger teams. So again, KBFC are doing fantastic work with the youth football, both girls and boys. You know, listening to Mark and his team telling me about all of the work that they've put in to build it from absolutely the bare level, nothing at all, to what it is today, is absolutely a testament to all the hard work that they're doing. And when it was put to me that we've got sponsorship opportunity there, I thought, do you know what, that's a brilliant opportunity to try and push the hotel out into the community. Also sponsoring boys and girls football. I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and I coach her football team of a Saturday. But seeing the opportunities for girls grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, I thought, okay, if this hotel's got an opportunity to be part of that and give a girls football team and a boys football team a kit so their parents don't have to buy it. So all they've got to do is put that kit on and go and enjoy themselves every Saturday or every Wednesday when they train, and mum and dad don't have to worry about a kit because it's all been taken care of. And then that also allows us to spread our word within the community, especially using that as a platform, and to see whether we can help them in any way, shape or form, whether we offer, you know, some reduced memberships for our gym and for the leisure and for the spa. And, you know, when we have events on, we're also doing a presentation day with them. So the children are going to come and get their kits presented to them and have the mums and dads there. So again, trying to bring that community feel back to the hotel. Yeah. So totally get everything that you're saying. And it is something that we are actively working towards. But yeah, for me, it's all about community and the people.
So with the football, Andrew, because you came to our meetings, didn't you? So just so you know, Graham, and we do our networking meeting every week at the Suites Hotel every Friday. So that's another avenue people can use for the hotel for, isn't it? Business meetings. David Matthews from Indy Sports might be able to help you with the collaboration with the football club, because that's what his company is about, is trying to get local football team extra sponsorship as well. So you could put it on, and then you can put on there that you sponsor, and then other people will be able to help sponsor them as well. So it might be worth having a chat to Dave on Friday.
Totally. I was thinking creatively while everyone was talking, especially about Diane's idea. A few years ago, McDonald's did this. Okay, we're going to nick the idea from McDonald's because, you know, they know what they're doing. But a few years ago, do you remember, Diane, McDonald's did a series of ads where they took us back in time to like when McDonald's first started, and we saw like people going into McDonald's when it first started. It kind of gave us that nostalgia, that history. You told us a story there about somebody coming with, you know, dressed up 1950s gear, standing outside the hotel. There was a memory of that time, which has a very strong kind of emotional pull to it. You could do that. Again, you could almost like dress up in 1950s gear and do the Sunday lunches again in 1950s gear. Yeah, you could actually take people back to a different era, to a different time. You could rebuild those memories. That would be good. You know, positive memories of the hotel from the past. It'd be brilliant. You should think how many people that actually enjoy dressing up 1950 style or 1960 style or 1970 style and coming along to the hotel for, you know, maybe
Sunday lunches.
Themed Sunday lunches. Yeah. Get the blancmange out, Andrew. You know, you never see a blancmange on the menu anymore. Prawn cocktail, blancmange. You know, fondues. Well, anything that takes people back to the time. You know, I think that is something to think about, isn't it? I think like recreating the positive parts of history again. Maybe something that would actually really work as well to reignite that history.
Even an open evening and to go back in time and educate the people of the history of the hotel. You know, just bring them back in. You know, say like we're going to relaunch whatever. We're going to talk about the history of the hotel. Bring it in. Maybe, you know, I'm sure Lindsay, you probably come in and maybe speak about when she was there, if that's something you'd want to do potentially. But like bring the history and then just bring people back in, because I know the hotel's known for, we all went there for our driving awareness courses. Yeah. Which is where the spa is now, isn't it? I think now, where the rooms were. But the rooms we use, I don't know whether you could still use that, but I think a lot of that's online now, isn't it? Anyway, you don't really attend that many face-to-face. But yeah, most of us in Liverpool have probably gone there for the speed awareness or a red light.
But I almost
many a person said that to me.
Yeah, I almost think if you start regenerating modern day photos of almost the past of the hotel and putting those images out there, you get to a point where you actually obliterate any photos of the hotel that are negative. Yeah, you have to recreate the positive ones and make those stronger. Yeah,
you could do it as an online campaign, couldn't you, Graham? Like, you just get all the old photos up and do it as an online, and then people will be, oh yeah, remember when we went there with mum and dad, or remember we went to here, you know.
Come and recreate this scene. Yeah, come and do it again, you know. Come back to the hotel.
Totally agree. I think what we've got to do before that is to connect again. Now, we've started that obviously with the local sponsorship, the football club. We're seeing more and more people start to come back into the hotel. And again, if they're being met with the hospitality that I'm hoping that everybody gets, then that word of mouth gets passed through. There are things potential. There are loads of ideas, and the ideas that you said there are, you know, sparking things in my head, which is really good. I almost feel as though we're going to get one chance to do it and do it right. So in order to do that, got to make sure that the foundations are in and the consistency's there and everything, you know, so it's not just coming in one time and it being great. It's, well, we come in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times and it's great every time. When you get that level of consistency, and I don't think we're too far away from it, then I could literally stand on the bell tower and shout about the place, you know, and throw everything out there. But yeah, the idea is, I think it's, what I don't want to do is just throw enough things at a wall and hope something sticks. Even in the short period of time I've been here, we've seen the hotel growing, you know, more and more people and that might have in some small part down to the fact of myself or Jitesh, my business development manager, going and networking a little bit more and going to these meetings and with the chamber and things like that. So that is obviously having a positive effect because, oh, right, you are open again and you are, yes, we are. And again, it's the consistency all along. You know, it's that smiley face, knowing that if you're here for 2 weeks as part of your business, that you come in and you get great food, you get great service. If we can get those levels, those tiers down, then that gives us the breathing space to be able to go, right, okay, now we can get our creative hats on and go, right, how can we now bring this place back to where it was?
I think you're right. You've got to have the fundamentals right before you go out. Diane will talk about this when, you know, from her McDonald's days. You've got to do that robust kind of training and everything first. Your staff have got to know what good service looks like, and all of those are right. Having said that, there's also the part of me that goes, in 2026 and as a disruptor in business as well, you can't sit on things for too long. There's always a point where you've just got to go for it, right? Mm-hmm. And I will challenge you on one thing you said there, which is that we only get one chance to do this right. I don't think that's true these days. I think you get several chances to do it because, in fact, you're always doing it. Because actually, when you throw something out there and you're doing it in the world, if you're prepared to learn as you do it and you're prepared to hear the feedback and you're prepared to grow within that feedback, then actually you just keep doing it, right? Yeah. I think where people get it wrong is when they throw something out to the world and just assume that they've got it right and they're not prepared to listen to the feedback. But I think if you are prepared to learn, then actually just keep throwing it, right? Keep challenging, keep pushing, keep doing something new. So I think I think it's a mixture of both. I think you're right. You've got to get the fundamentals absolutely down, but I don't think there's ever absolutely a right time. And I've seen too many business owners make the mistake of just waiting and waiting and waiting until it's perfect, and there's never a perfect time.
Thank you very much. It's true, isn't it? You know, if and as you said, I mean, I turn around and say to the team, if you make mistakes, I don't care. If you were prepared to do something about it and you made a mistake or didn't quite go the way you wanted it to go, then we sit down, we look at how it went, and we change and we adjust it. So next time you're all singing, all dancing and ready to go. So maybe I just need to hear from somebody else tell me the same thing. So
Yeah.
I think we all do.
If you want any support with training, I can do all of what I used to do for McDonald's. If you ever want any bite-sized stuff, feel free. We can have a separate conversation. There's nothing probably much I couldn't talk about. Listening to you before was like being back in time, you know. So I would definitely talk the same language. And sometimes at that point, someone else telling you is different. So I remember I was in head office for 4 years, training all the management programs, blah blah blah. I did that for 2 years. Then 2 years I did that rolled up the kiosks and all that type of stuff. When I come back to the store, and I'd have every Monday night, I'd have my managers going through the program, sit with me on a Monday night, go through the workbook, teach them everything, and I'd say, right, they're gonna tell you this, they're gonna do that, because I'd taught it for 4 years, like inside out. And they would still come back and go, oh my God, the trainer said this, this, and this. And I'd be like, wow, yeah, that's amazing. They'd be like, yeah. And I'd be thinking in my head, I'm sure I've said that to you for weeks. But some people don't listen to you because you become wallpaper. And I learned that doing it that way. I thought, wow, that's it. It always baffled my mind, you know, because you'd be thinking, right, we talk about this all the time. And I always used to stay behind after my shift and sit with them and give them my personal time because they were given their personal time. Does that make sense? And you just get to the end and you think, oh my God, because it goes in one ear out the other, because they've probably heard you say it 1,000 times. They're not listening anymore. Someone else might say exactly what you're saying, but in a slightly different way. And they go, right, I get that. So having different people teach each other as well, I think, you know, is a benefit. And to your point, the real gems in hospitality who get it, actually getting your real good staff to teach other people, that shoulders to shoulder trainers no better, is it, in hospitality, I think. But, you know, the hotel's amazing. You know, the spa is absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, people should come back and go back and see what it's all made for. You know, we have a brilliant service from the team when we go on a Friday morning for our business meetings. So that's definitely, you know, a market that you can hopefully grow into as well. I think, you know, you'll get it put back on the map, Andrew. You know, I wouldn't worry about it being too perfect. Going to Graham's point is, you just have to go for it, don't you, and see what happens, and, you know, let the universe look after you.
That was a great testimonial for you, Andrew.
Yeah,
what a great start. Now, listen, it is the hardest thing here getting people to come back over the threshold for the first time. Is that part of the biggest difficulty here?
It's the softer aspects of the hotel. So the bedrooms are filled with corporate clients and then weekend clients. That element of the business, people always need a hotel room to stay in. Obviously, we're a very good location in terms of not too far outside the city centre, but also if people don't want the hustle and bustle of the city centre, they can also get to the Liverpool games very easily. So we get good pickup from that. It's more the events. So if you would host a party night, so we've got 2 party nights that we just released yesterday. We've got an Elvis Presley tribute on the 26th of April. Oh, thank you very much. And we've got an ABBA tribute on the 2nd of May. Now, throughout my time in hotels, every time you would see ABBA on or you would see an Elvis on, you know that you could get packed room. You go in, people would have their meals and things like that, and people would just enjoy themselves. It was always it was your go-to. ABBA, Elvis, you know you'd sell them. And I think one of the problems that we talk about the consistency is how well we're marketing it and how we're getting our message out that we are back open, we're doing these events, we're putting these things on, and come and enjoy yourselves. You know, the younger generation, they may be going into your Liverpool and doing your different style of going out, because everything seems to have changed completely now since when I was going out. I was talking to somebody the other day, and my generation, I'm 47, so people of my age would potentially go out and enjoy a good sing song and a dance and a drink and stuff like that. Where the younger ones, there's a lot more data there that says that drinking is becoming less and less and less and less and less, and it's more about the experience and, is everything Instagrammable and all this sort of stuff. So I'm not sure whether a 21-year-old would potentially be the target market for this, where they could go and get an Instagram picture of a prawn cocktail and a chicken dinner and ABBA playing. But the people of my generation, they're the ones who I think we sort of want to try and connect with again, to say, look, your local hotel in your local area is putting on events again. So I think that's where the biggest challenge for us will be over the next 6 to 12 months. And that will also coincide with the spa and getting people coming back as well.
Do you ever thought of radio advertising, Andrew? Because I know in demand radio, we've advertised on there and that's done well for us. Maybe that's something that, you could potentially look at, because they're one of the only local radio stations now with Radio City going and things like that, that maybe if you did the campaign with them and got, everything, all your events out and just, got a catchy strap line or something for the hotel, just might get people thinking about you again.
Yeah, had those conversations, or we've started those conversations already with a couple of people from In Demand. So on the same wavelength.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
No pun intended. No pun intended. Do you gamify things, Andrew? Because gamification is one of the biggest things out there these days. I mean, people love a bit of gamification. So, for example, you're putting on these ABBA nights, the Elvis night, etc. Is there a chance, for example, someone signs up and comes along to that? Is there a chance that somebody on the night could win like a spa package or something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could do. There's no end to the things that we could do.
Yeah,
absolutely no end to the things that we could do. I mean, I've got a million ideas as to the things that I want to do and things that I've done in the past. I think it's getting people through. It's that reach. It's if people are seeing that we're putting these things on and then choosing not to come, then I've got to go back to the drawing board, as you rightly say, and figure out why. It could be multiple factors. Are we pricing it too high? Which I don't think we are. £35 for a 2-course dinner and a live tribute act. I don't think that's too expensive. But yeah, if there needs to be other hooks, then potentially we can use those as well. Again, there's potential for charity nights and the space there. I mean, you know yourself, Diane. The space is massive and used to host an awful lot of large events. So for me, that's the aim this year. But as you say, let's throw a bit more at the wall and see what comes from it.
As someone that sits in the music circle, as Diane knows, I'd probably say as well, one of the things you want to look at there is that actually the average sort of tribute act, if you or the type of music that is cross-generational and gets like mums, dads, and maybe even young people coming through, that's going down in terms of age, in terms of types of music. So, for example, that's why probably now, if I was to look at it, I'd say, someone that's covering sort of Coldplay or someone like that is more likely to get a cross range of audience through the door rather than maybe Elvis. Just saying. I just feel like that at this stage, because I feel like people that are a little bit older are listening to younger music right now as well. which was never the case before, but it's because of the way that music is disseminated, because people are streaming music. They are listening to younger music than the previous generation. So maybe worth doing some market research on that in terms of who you need to have in over the time in order to get the right people in there.
I think if you did the Taylor Swift one, you'd have all the kids in there like no tomorrow.
Yeah,
but
kids, not just kids. You'd have the mums and the dads and everything as well. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think ultimately the sort of pitch of where that is artist wise has moved generationally because of how people listen to music. So I think it's a younger artists are being listened to by more cross generation. Yeah,
popular music is popular for a reason.
Absolutely. If it's selling out at Wembley, you'll be all right if you do it there.
Yes, I think if we go along that rule of thumb, then we might not go too far on.
No, exactly.
Well, we had a young musician on a few weeks ago, Andrew, in 7th Street's they're called, and they're up and coming. They do sort of like indie, like Oasis type style music. And one of his dreams is to play at Wembley. So here's an event, maybe imitate Wembley Stadium, and you could have local artists coming. And that might get different people there because it's their family, friends, different thing. And then you're working with the local community again. But you could pretend like it's Wembley Stadium and having a bit of play on, like pretend that's what it is. This is your dream. You want to come and play at Wembley, and have that as the sort of the stage, if that makes sense. And then just have it, not even as a meal, just stands and have like a buffet or something. I don't know. Does that make sense? Where we have the restaurant, maybe do it separate. I don't know the dynamics of it. But if you did that and then got local bands to maybe come, that would work with some of what you're trying to achieve, maybe. We're full of loads of ideas on this podcast. You just need to make them.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today, Andrew. I hope we didn't throw too many ideas at you, but
brilliant takeaways.
And I hope some of it is actually helpful. But listen, if you're watching this, folks, and you've never been to the hotel, now's the time to get down there and check it out. Don't ignore part of your local history either. So make the history your history is what that should all be about, really. And you build the future. So let's take this opportunity to build the future around this landmark, which has been there for a long time and has actually been central to the city of Liverpool as well. The choice is in your hands. You can make that happen, along with Andrew, who's here to serve, by the sound of it.
Indeed.
Along with his team. So thank you so much for coming on today, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane, as usual, for your comments and insight into the world of business. We will be back soon with another DCT Recruitment's The Icing on the Career Cake. But until then, from a very chocolatey flavoured Andrew Price episode.